Okay, so what I want to do real quick is just explain each of the activities in this assignment. So for this first one, it has to do with God, gold, and glory. Keep in mind, all of these assignments, all of these activities are review activities. We've already talked about all these concepts, so you know what God, gold, and glory refers to. And even if you don't, you have that information on the previous slides, right? Um, but what you're doing is you are finding a picture that represents God, that represents gold, that represents glory. You're finding that, copying, and then inserting it here or pasting it here. And then you're explaining which of the countries between Great Britain, Spain, or France best fits with that sort of motivation, right? So which one of these countries was most focused on God, which is most focused on gold, which is most focused on glory, based again on the information that you have in the previous slides. Okay. The next thing would be using an infographic that relates to the different regions of the original 13 colonies. So the original 13 colonies were established by the British. Remember, we had the North, which was split between the New England colonies and the Middle colonies, and then we had the Southern colonies. And this link is going to bring you to an infographic, like I said, with some information and descriptions, and then you're taking that, and then you are following these instructions here. So you can just type on here, right? That sort of thing. You can insert your images on either side, doesn't really matter, as long as we have all of the required information from here. Okay. Then here's just a simple question for you to answer. Here's a journal for you to write from the perspective of a British colonist, choosing whether you are settling in Jamestown or Plymouth. And again, this information is always going to be preceding it. Here's going to be some questions that relate to this idea of neglect. So it doesn't relate necessarily specifically to the content, but it's going to prime you for solitary neglect and remembering what that is about. Here, you're going to be kind of imagining that you're creating your own government, your own self-government at home, and creating your own laws. And then lastly here, you are just doing a activity over these different colonies where you are reading about them and then you're explaining who their leader was and how it is that they created that colony. And all of these relate to this idea of religious freedom. So that is pretty much it. The questions here at the end, keep in mind that we're going to have a quiz at the end of the week. And one of the questions from that quiz is going to be one of the DOL, the demonstration of learning questions. So it's going to be straight from there. As long as you do those questions and watch the video on the next slide, you should be good to go for that.